What I got for you today is a Marlin 1894s in 44 Remington Magnum or 44 Special. It's your basic lever action rifle that Marlin puts out. Some of the tools that I'm going to be using: just some replaceable apex bits, my screwdriver, and these bits are three of the common screwdriver heads. I think we have a number 4, a number 6, and a number 5. So let's get into it. I'm going to grab the biggest screwdriver I have here, and I'm going to start off by taking off the lever and taking out the bolt. To do that, I'm going to cock the rifle. I'm going to leave the safety off, and I'm going to take this main screw out here that holds our lever on. When you're choosing a screwdriver, you want to be sure to choose the largest screwdriver possible without extending past the screw head. I'm going to try to hold up these screws so you guys get a general layout. Some of the other videos I've seen weren't the greatest at showing you what the screws were. So there's your lever screw. And one nice thing about the Marlins is once you get that lever screw out, you can just pull your handle right out. You see, this is where the bolt interfaces with the lever. So if you were going to clean this, we're going to take our bolt and slide it right out. Pretty basic. Here's our extractor. With the bolt out, we're going to reach inside of the action here. I'm going to try to highlight that for you while I'll do it. And we're going to take out our ejector. And the ejector is just setting in there. There's a pin that it keyways into. So there's our ejector. So this is a stopping point if you were going to just clean it after, shooting it half a dozen times or 100 times or whatever you're going to shoot it, just a normal cleaning. This gives you access from the chamber all the way to the muzzle, and that way you don't ding up your muzzle while you're cleaning. So let's go a little bit further in depth with this. I'm going to take off our stock next, and that's by taking this main screw out here. Alright. This is the biggest screw on the disassembly portion. Put that, and then the stock should just pull right off. Just like that. With the stock out of the way, we can go ahead and disassemble our hammer and trigger mechanism. To do that, we're going to take out this screw here on the bottom. This whole assembly is going to come out all at once. So we're going to take this screw here out, this screw here out, which also doubles as the hammer pivot pin, and this screw here out. So before we do that, we need to lower our hammer here. And to lower our hammer, we have a grip safety right here behind the trigger. In order to disengage our grip safety, we need to push in on it, pushing it inwards. So I'll just use my golf tee here, pushing inwards on it. I'm also holding the hammer to prevent the hammer from smacking into the action. And there, I've lowered it. Next thing I'm going to do is take out our hammer spring here and the hammer spring retainer. All I do is rotate it, give it a twist to the right, and it's just going to come right off like that. And you see there's no threads or anything like that. It's just keyed right into the hammer tail or the hammer spur there. There's our spring. I will take out our screws. Start at the bottom one here, which is the largest. As you can see, that's threaded all the way around. Next one is going to be this one here on the rifle's left hand side. You see that one's a little bit stubbier. One thing I've noticed with these screws is you can't put, not saying you can't, but necessarily you will not be able to put one of these screws in the wrong location. It's either too long, too small, or just not working. So now I'm taking the last one out on the right hand side of the action here. If you remember, this one doubles as our hammer pivot pin. You can see right where the hammer rides on that pin. So with those out, you can see our hammer kind of popped out on itself. Here's our hammer. Here's the tail. This is where our steering gauge is down here. Next thing we can do, whenever you take that out, you'll also notice that your trigger kind of flops forward. It's not broken, that's just how it comes apart. I'm just going to lift up on this tail towards the camera and ever so easily pry it up, and it'll pop right out. There is some friction on there. Whenever you put it back together, I like putting some grease on it just to keep corrosion down and to ease further removing. With that out, we're going to lift out on our locking block. This locks our bolt into place so that when we fire, our bolt doesn't come flying back. There's our locking block. Alright. There's two more things we need to take out of the action area. Our loading gate and then our lifter. Take our lifter out. We have this rear screw here, the most rear screw that's left in the rifle. I'm going to change my screwdriver out to the 5. There we go. That's our lifter pivot screw. With that out, our lifter should just come right on out. There's our whole lifter assembly. And I do know that I'm not using the correct terminology for a lot of these parts. It's just ease of doing this. So there's our, I think this is our number 4 screwdriver. And we're going to take our loading gate out. You notice the loading gate just falls freely in there. If you look at your loading gate, all it is a piece of spring steel, and this screw is real small for the loading gate. With that, our action is pretty much disassembled. I will say the safety comes out. On the back here there is a Allen wrench screw, but this one's been filled in at the factory, and I'm not worried about taking it out. It still has good engagement. It's not a problem. The rear half of the rifle disassembled. We're going to go ahead and focus on the front half here. And with that, we have our forward hand grip that we'll have to take off. In order to do that, we got to take our magazine tube out. So let's start by taking our magazine tube out. There's one screw here at the very front of the magazine tube. Put our screwdriver in there. This screw is kind of awkward because the shank, or the part that's not threaded, is on the bottom of the screw, and the part that is threaded is up near the screw head. So I can unscrew this. It's going to set in there and retain that end cap. Now remember, there is a spring in here, so we want to retain that end cap. So here I'm removing the screw. You can see how different that looks. Alright, comes our end cap. There's our spring. With this end cap, you'll notice that one hole has no threads and the other hole has threads. The one that has threads is going to go on the bottom of the rifle, or the top as it's sitting right here. We'll take the screw out. So there's our screw for our barrel band. Once we have that screw out for our barrel band, we need to take our clamp off for our forward hand grip here. There's 2 screws, one on each side. Some of the older models have another barrel band across it. There's one screw. Two screws. Those screws are the same. Our barrel band will wiggle out of the way here, and then we can take our magazine tube here, give it a little bit of a rotation, and slide it on out. There is a specific orientation for this magazine tube. You can see the larger holes up here on the top, smaller holes on the bottom, and also this cutout where the screw goes through for the barrel band is on the bottom, or on the top as the rifle's oriented. Get our follower out of the tube. Set that down. This barrel band will just pull right off, and then our handguard should pull right up. It's angled. You notice the angle here at the front. So when you lift it up, or whenever you reinsert it, just lift up on it like that. And with that, you are 95% disassembled of the Marlin 1894s.